we're coming to you live for the Built Ford Tough Studio. Boomer Esiason, Greg Giannotti. It's Boomer and Gio on the Fan. Simulcast across the country on CBS Sports Network. And wherever you are in the free Odyssey app. Good Tuesday morning. Boomer off today. He will be back tomorrow. So we welcome in Willie Cologne for the day. Willie, good morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning, brother.
So me and you have a lot in common. We've been in the same place at the same time and barely know each other. Which is interesting. So in two different places, we have been at the same place at the same time, and we've never really talked or never really been around. I think I might have interviewed you once in the Steelers locker room, but we were at Hofstra at the same time.
You were at Hofstra?
Yeah.
Doing what?
God knows. I really don't know.
Hitting up Mulcahy's?
Getting some degree I did not need to get to be able to be sitting here. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I was at Hofstra.
So how is this the first time we're, technically meeting?
I don't know, man. Because I guess, in Pittsburgh, I guarantee I went up to you and said I went to Hofstra at some point. But you're an offensive lineman for the Pittsburgh Steelers at that point. You don't give a crap about what some loser kid's coming up to you with a microphone saying. So that's not going to resonate, you know?
That's not true, because I used to get teased a lot for going to Hofstra, being a small school guy that, made it to the big stage. And once the program got canceled, it was bad. Yeah, I got dragged in the locker room. So,
of course, because the NFL locker room is so kind to everybody.
Oh,
it really is. They let you get away with anything. So I'm sure I did that at some point. I don't expect you to remember that. But then also, from Hofstra, then to Pittsburgh at the same time. So you got to Pittsburgh earlier than I did, but I was there 2010. Through 2015, and you were there for 10, 11, 12, I think.
Correct, because I got to the Jets in 13.
Right. Yep. We spent 3 years in Pittsburgh together.
So some might say you've been following me, G.
I know.
If you want to be honest about it.
It's a little strange.
You've been quietly stalking me all this time.
And now you're here.
And now
you are here. So I had some, we will, of course, get to the Jets and Aaron Rodgers and Jameis Winston last night, but I'm going to throw a couple things at you from the Steelers locker room. All right.
Oh wow.
All right, just a couple things. Just
not expecting Steeler talk.
No. Just from back of the day, just to break the ice with you, because
whatever her name was, I apologize.
No. You never did anything. But you know what I did? I happen to like Max Starks and Ramon Foster a little more than
those
you.
are my guys.
Yeah. They were a little nicer than you were. I think. Yeah, just a little bit, especially Max.
I don't know where this is going, and it makes me nervous. Max,
don't be nervous.
Max knows all my secrets.
No. Don't be nervous at all. See, but I did have. So I was the very distinct memory, and I'm sure you can attest to this happening several times. Very distinct memory. So I was sitting there. I was interviewing. It was either Kelvin Beachum or Ramon Foster, one of the two offensive linemen, and Rashard Mendenhall came up next to me, completely naked, and stood inches away from my face to try to intimidate me. And then it was just unbelievable, and I didn't know what to do. And then whoever I was interviewing was laughing, and I didn't want to look, and he was right there. That guy, a little bit off.
Was that your welcome to the NFL moment?
It was up there. Yeah, that was definitely up there.
We guys would do things like that to kind of shake up the beat writers and people in the media, because you guys, like most locker rooms, are relentless, right? You guys have a job to do. You're trying to do your thing and kind of get the nuggets, man. And that was kind of our get back. So it seemed like you handled it well. Look at you. You made it.
Right. But I wasn't one of those old crusty Pittsburgh guys that were in there causing stuff.
No.
I was just a younger guy trying to get an interview, whatever, giving you softball
Were you
questions.
married at the time?
No, I met my wife in Pittsburgh, but I was not married.
Because I couldn't imagine you going home and telling your wife, I saw some things today.
No, I did. We lived together at the time. We were, dating, but I told her just about everything. She was a Steeler fan, and I was like, I don't want to ruin things for you, but
right.
But no,
it's not a conversation you have over dessert.
Yeah, right. Did Rashard Mendenhall buck naked standing right next to me? But those were great experiences there. Troy Polamalu was awesome. Yeah. Anytime I got near James Harrison, that was a lot of fun because he used to scare the crap out of me.
He would have fun with the media the most. I feel like when the media came, they knew it was going to be a treat when they saw him.
Yeah, and we were there. So right when Antonio Brown, Mike Wallace, and Emmanuel Sanders were all together. So we did this interview at training camp. It was our morning show with them, and it was the most entertaining thing in the world. And they called themselves the Young Money family.
Oh,
Remember
yeah.
that?
Yes.
And then Antonio Brown, who had no idea, was going to obviously go completely haywire. But he was he was just the best back then. He called himself Turk because he said he was locked up because there was some rapper named Turk and he was on the...
From Cash Money, yes.
Right.
I remember, it's all coming back to me.
Right.
Yes,
And because he was inactive for most of his rookie season. And,
Correct.
and he called himself Turk because he was locked up. And it was like the funniest thing in the world. And I have these great memories from back then, which I'm sure you've got many of them as well.
Oh,
but we were
100%.
living parallel lives and not even knowing it.
Well, welcome, Gio.
Yeah.
Welcome.
You're 41, I'm 42.
I am, man. And
Yeah.
you know, a lot of things that I do remember about my Steeler days, which is awesome, is and you pretty much had access to, is it was a family locker room. It was fun. It was fast.
Yeah.
We kind of did things our way, but we won, right? When
Yeah.
you winning, you get access to do a lot of things you want to do.
Right.
When you lose, you hide in the corner and cover your face and put a brown bag over it. But nevertheless, man, it was good times. Mike Tomlin, and I was fortunate to have Bill Cowher for 1 year, but it was an awesome time.
Yeah. And those teams, I mean, still the culture there as they continue to win, and we see them beating the Bengals. And we've got the exact opposite here. We've got two of the worst cultures in the NFL, and obviously with the Jets, and you talk about them every single week on SNY, and it's just gotten to the point now where it's exhausting. And there's just still some news that has to be covered with them, and I think eventually they'll just slowly just completely die into irrelevancy, which they're on their way to. But Jeff Ulbrich yesterday says Aaron Rodgers is going to be the quarterback for the rest of the season. I guess he has to do that, and they're paying him, and maybe he'll give you a moment here or there, and he's been like the alpha since he's been here. Everything is rotating around the sun that is Aaron Rodgers, so benching him is going to be a problem, and he's on with McAfee and everything else. But what I don't understand is why Aaron Rodgers still wants to do this. Why does he still want to go out there at 41, obviously not healthy, losing games every single week, and everybody talking about how he's washed up?
It's already bad, but he can't tap. And I don't necessarily understand what benching does. I understand. Listen, the season's over. I think we can all pay homage to that it's over, and they're looking to the future. Benching Aaron Rodgers sends no message. It's a waste of time. So if you're going to have him out there, it is what it is. You brought into the notion that he was going to be your Lord and Savior.
Yeah.
Obviously, that hasn't happened. Let him finish the race. And that's just my mindset. Because if he's still willing to go out there and compete, he was able to recruit Devontae Adams, man. I don't know how Devontae Adams would feel if Aaron was like, hey, I know it didn't work out, but I'm going to take a
right?
seat.
Like everybody's been dancing around this health thing with him, and even Ulbrich yesterday was like, he's fighting through a lot of stuff. He's fighting through why? Like this, I mean, and this is where like someone like me and someone like you come from completely different perspectives. But like I'm thinking, you've had this Hall of Fame career.
Right.
This is a mess. You are hurt.
He moved better Sunday. He was able to kind of move around and scramble. He looked like he showed some youth in his legs. He just didn't get it done. I mean, he missed that one throw to Garrett, which was a money touchdown. It should have been easy money. But then he throws the pick, right, to Big Cat, Leonard Williams. So it's up and down. But I was talking to somebody yesterday about this. As much talent there is on that roster, they still shouldn't be this bad. And that's what's puzzling.
Been horrendous.
Coaching's bad, but I don't know. It's just like they shouldn't be here. I can understand, the miscues between receivers with Aaron and the receiving core. I can understand the injuries, but they're bad. Like they're hard to watch. And even in the beginning of the game against the Seahawks, I was excited because they showed some creativity. I was like, oh, we see some motions going on. They were mixing it up. They was able to get the ball to Brees early. That it didn't transfer to the second half. They went dead and flat. And for some reason, they thought the Seahawks were just going to be like, okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what?
That team's got at least a chance to do something, too. I mean, they're not going to lie down like a 2-win team or 3-win team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I
Jets are frustrating, man.
Well, of course. I mean, they're beyond frustrating, and this group is, I mean, I don't even know where they're going to go for a head coach. I've talked about many times. I mean, weeks ago, I brought up the name John Gruden just because I feel like
Gruden? Chucky?
Yeah, but that's what they need.
They don't need Chucky.
Yeah, they do. They need somebody. What are they going to do? They're really going to bring in some other hot coordinator and some assistant GM to come in here and just have the worst time of their lives?
No, they need somebody that's going to build a culture. Because right now, you're looking at a lot of these young guys. And that's Joe, that's the biggest thing. You walked the locker room and you've done pressers, man. There's nothing worse than seeing guys who were rookies, right? Like Quentin Williams in his 6th season, right? Mm-hmm. He's experienced nothing but losses since he's been a Jet. He came from Alabama, winning national championships, right? And so when you see him at the end of the games, and like him and Sauce and Brees, the fire is dim in their eyes. You know what I mean? Like it's starting to. You can see, like, man, this thing is bigger than us, right? Because we were promised Aaron Rodgers after he went through the whole Zach Wilson era, and like I said before, Aaron was supposed to be the savior. He hasn't delivered. So now these guys are like, then what can we do?
Yeah, because
we've played without a quarterback,
right?
You know what I mean? Nothing has come from that. Now that we do have a quarterback and we're still losing, like, see, for those guys, it's like it's bigger than us.
So, like, who's the guy that comes in and reignites those players? I mean, that's really the question. I mean, and there's not going to be a single guy that's got options elsewhere that will pick the Jets over those other options.
I like Ben Johnson.
Yeah, but he's not coming here.
You don't know that?
Yes, I do.
Who told you?
I'll tell you why.
Why?
Because this guy turned down jobs last offseason.
He said he had unfinished business. I get that.
But, all right, so he's going to get offers from everywhere.
Sure.
He's going to come here where the owner tells the GM what to do, and everybody that comes here's career dies.
That's the biggest problem right now. When you start hearing rumblings that Woody has pretty much snapped the hatch, right? He's now going into the GM office and making GM moves, benching Tony Adams, supposedly wanting to bench Aaron Rodgers after Week 4. Those are the things you hear, like, whoa, this is starting to get bad.
Well, yeah, I mean, and also, and I've made this point many times, but Rob Saleh and Joe Douglas are respected amongst the NFL and their peers. Like,
I agree.
There are a bunch of guys who really, really think highly of them. When they got here, they were lauded for these hires, the Jets were. You know, Rob Saleh, next great coach, defensive coordinator. It didn't turn out that he was a great head coach. Joe Douglas, he worked with the Eagles. He worked with the Ravens. Oh, what a great hire. And they still have friends throughout the league. I mean, look at Matt LaFleur, immediately brings Rob Saleh out to Green Bay and has him help out. So those guys now out there, after this miserable experience, are going to be talking to people. Yep. And if Ben Johnson is smart, or anybody else with a brain will call up those guys and be like, hey, man, you know, what do you think? And be like, hey, you know, it's 1 of 32, but, man, that Woody Johnson is up your ass the entire time. And I would go elsewhere.
I think Woody's frustrated. I mean, Woody changed his whole persona. He had platinum chains and wearing icy white Nikes. Like,
that's right.
If anybody brought in was Woody Johnson, and nothing has come from his investment. And if anything, it's been Band-Aids after Band-Aids that have failed him. So have failed him. Excuse me. So when I understand Woody's angst and being upset, because you can't raise ticket prices.
Yeah.
You can't have fans believe in the campaign you set every year and then get this outcome. But overall, man, you got to let a GM be a GM. When they fired Rex Hogan, the assistant GM to Joe Douglas, I knew it was over for Joe, and I think Joe knew it.
Right.
You know, and now he was like, man, if they let go of my guy, then what am I here for?
Yeah.
And I think respectfully out of Woody, he goes, listen, you're not going to be a part of future plans, so let's get you out of here early.
No, that's fine at this point. But the fact that it was back in January that Woody allegedly was making some of these decisions, and Joe Douglas put a contract in front of Bryce Huff that Woody didn't want, so then they pulled it. I mean, things like that are insane. So this is why my point is that if you are someone that's got a chance to go to the Chicago Bears, who have been a mess, but you got Caleb Williams there, and they are a legacy franchise, or you are someone who could go and get paid a ton of money with Shad Khan and maybe either have the first overall pick or Trevor Lawrence down there, or you come up here, you're not picking here.
Well, the way you're talking, you're scaring people because they're starting to feel like when we hired Adam Gase. Like that's what you're saying we're heading.
Yeah.
We're heading down the Adam Gase road.
Maybe. I mean, but Adam Gase at least, and it was a disaster.
Disaster.
But at least he had head coaching experience. What I'm afraid of is you're going to get another one of these guys that's got absolutely no experience, and they're going to hire the 33rd team to find these guys, and you're going to get just
would you be okay with Aaron Glenn?
I would, but I would. I like Aaron Glenn, and he knows this place, which is very important.
Correct.
But he's another one of those guys that is he really like he's going to be the guys that I've narrowed it down to, because I don't think Aaron Glenn would take the job, especially if this team continues to win the Lions, and he's going to have other options because there's a ton of jobs open. Mm-hmm. The guys I think that would come here, because I don't know how many other options they would have, and they have a chip on their shoulder, and I think change the culture immediately, would be Gruden and Brian Flores. Those would be the guys.
Well, listen, I do agree with you. Getting a head coach to come into this market and be a part of the Jets, it would be tough, right? Because he would have to learn through fire, right? Instead of getting a guy who's already seasoned and understands how to, fill in the role. Overall, I do think you do get something from chasing a Mike Vrabel, who's very well respected, who can really have eyes on both sides of the ball. I don't, a lot of people get kind of, they get all crazy in the face when you say Rex Ryan. My thought on that is I would entertain Rex Ryan. However, I would make sure Rex doesn't bring in his crew, because I think that was the biggest thing with Rex is I think more people failed Rex than Rex failed them. He was loyalty to a default, right? And I think he loves hard, and he's ultra passionate, but they're going to have to put the best people around him so Rex can solely just be Rex. Control the culture, take care of the defense, and be the face of the organization. He can do that with two outstanding coordinators, if that's possible. I mean, you look at Philly, right? Like, there's a lot of talk about Nick Sirianni and what he could do and can't do. I remember at the end of his pressure last year, a reporter asked him, said, well, since you got Kellen Moore and you got Vic Fangio, what do you do?
Yeah.
He goes, well, I'm going to control the culture. It's working.
It is working.
So why can't the Jets have the same situation? Get two badass coordinators and get a big time head coach.
Yeah, I don't think it's the craziest idea. I would rehire Rex before I brought in a Bobby Slowick or whoever the next young. I would because those guys are going to come here and they're going to get beat over the head and they're going to get spit out by this area and that franchise, and then their career's going to be dead.
We still have enough talent to win. That's the problem. We just got to win.
Yeah, I mean, but some of this talent, I don't even know if it's as talented as we thought it was, right? like Garrett Wilson, and I know how talented he is, but I mean, is he a great wide receiver? I mean, it's Sauce Gardner.
You put Garrett to the Washington Commanders, he'll take off. He'll ball out.
Yeah. I mean, that's what Jaden Daniels does everything. I mean, that's so much fun to watch.
You put him in a situation like that, forget about it.
Yeah. But what about Sauce?
I think Sauce is just a confidence thing. And I think, and I've said this on air while I was on SNY, he needs to put down the phone. You can tell he's reading and listening to everything. And I think once the injury to Jermaine Johnson happened, everything started coming at him, right? Like Jermaine Johnson was great at setting the edge, being physical at the point of attack, spilling everything back to the teeth of the defense. Once we lost Jermaine Johnson, now Sauce is he's the first line. He's not a big guy. He's not a physical corner. He's finesse. He's tall. He's swift. And overall, I think he got shell shocked, and I think he got exposed. Right? He's always been a handsy corner. He's for the last 2 years been able to get away with it. He wasn't able to get away with it this year, and I think he got exposed. And the tackling, I don't know what that's about. I mean, you've been tackling since you've been in Pop Warner. You got to learn. I mean, you got to tackle. So, but I think his confidence was rattled this year.
Well, obviously a ton of decisions to make, and we will see as it plays out the next couple of months. It's Boomer and Gio with Willie Colon in for Boomer this morning, just getting started on this Tuesday morning.